Hey Ryan, just curious, going back a couple months with what you went through with Tampa and everything. Just I know things have gone really well for you since coming over here, but just what was that like when when they made the decision to move on, and kind of what was that like emotionally for you to go through that?
It was very bittersweet. Without going into any of the details, I think the business relationship, it was just time to move on from both sides, and so where it's not really that fun to get fired. It was a situation where my agent and I have discussed asking for a release for about 4 to 6 weeks before it happened. So we didn't really think that a release was on the table. And so since I got released, we felt like a really good opportunity. With that being said, when you're in that void of not having a job, you never know if anyone's going to take a chance on you. And that was a risk that I was willing to take. You never know if you're ever going to pitch again in the big leagues at that point. But I was willing to bet on myself, and I was just super blessed to have certain teams reach out to me and that they believed in me. And, that was a big reason why I chose this team, was because they showed how much they believed in me, where I didn't feel like I was believed in my last employer. So I was just really excited to be able to come over here and just show that trust that they had in me was well-founded.
Go to Eric.
Ryan, you pitched so well for Arizona. Was there some sort of adjustment you made, or something that Brent Strom or somebody else suggested to you that enabled you to have such a drastic turnaround?
I think the answer is yes, but not a specific reason. My dad taught me when I was a little kid that there's no such thing as staying the same. You're either getting better or you're getting worse. And I think that frustrates people sometimes because they look at me and they think I'm always tinkering with something. But I'm an honest evaluator of where I'm at. I try to be a realist, and I try to look at my outings, whether or not it's a good outing or a bad outing, via the box score, and try to find things that I can improve. And so that was something where I was kind of in a weird position after my thoracic outlet surgery of trying to come back multiple times and trying to pitch in big league games, avoiding pain and changing mechanics, that when I came back from that surgery, I kind of lost who I was. And so I think that's probably a little bit of kind of the bumps in the road that I took in the past, was just trying to figure out who I was and who my identity was as a pitcher again. And so kind of coming over here, there were a lot of conversations with a lot of different pitching coaches that we have here. I think there's 5 or 6 pitching coaches that we have with us right now, and there's a lot of good voices in there. And Fett has been so incredible for me in the bullpen. Just having conversations, whether it's 5 seconds before I even go out on the mound, to say, hey, remember this cue, or whatever it is. So to answer your question, I'm always trying to see what I can do, or watch video, or try to make mechanical adjustments just to get that 1% better each and every day. And the Diamondbacks they've just been such a good fit for me, and that mentality that I have really meshes well with this organization, and they've helped me a lot.
Go to the second row on your left, guys.
Ryan, yesterday Mike Hazen said even before the season he had like at least 5 or 6 guys in the front office banging on the table telling him to go get you, and it took him 5 months to go get you, and he almost had a trade for you, but it worked out the way it did. Was that story reiterated to you when you got here, and if so, did that kind of help you feel comfortable early on knowing that there were a lot of guys in the building that wanted you here?
Yeah, one of the first things that they told me when I signed was they said they had a text thread going on where everyone was so excited, throwing a celebration that they signed me, and I was a little confused because I was like, man, I feel like I was convincing you guys to want me, So it's been great, as a professional athlete. Like, for one, you want to be wanted, and you want to be able to feel comfortable, and you want to have that trust in you to go out there and perform. And the circumstances were specific, but my first day here, they trusted me in the 9th inning for a save opportunity, and that just showed that they believed in me, and that just adds a little bit of fuel to be like, I'm gonna prove you guys right. There's something about proving people wrong, but there's also something about proving people right.
Go to the fourth row, Paul.
Joe, just what was the mood like walking into the clubhouse this morning, compared to yesterday, and also just this quick turnaround on the road. Does that help? Do you guys get to get right back out there 12, 13 hours later, as opposed to maybe a long flight across the country while you're thinking about that game?
Yeah, I think for sure. You know, what I've kind of seen, this is my first experience in the postseason in the big leagues, and you know, I think the best thing about it is what happened last night doesn't matter. You know, whether you win or lose, we have to show up today and try to win the game. So, you know, obviously it was an unfortunate way to end that game, but you know, just speaking to the way it did end, you know, Paul's been carrying us pretty much the whole way here. So, you know, those things are going to happen, but you know, I think we're all in a pretty good headspace. You know, we've been through some adversity this year for sure, and even in the playoffs. So the vibe feels good in the clubhouse, and you know, we're going to go out there and, you know, do what we can to win this game tonight.
Got Nick in the fourth row.
For either of you, just obviously everybody's been there, or you guys have been there before, where you either give it up or get walked off or whatever. Do you say anything to Paul or Castro? Just sort of a, you know, do you convey anything to them after the game or today?
Yeah, for sure. You know, I just try to. I've definitely been there. I've been there a lot, and so I just try to reiterate. You know, I went up to Paul. Casty and, you know, Walk, I could tell was a little down too last night after the game, and just told him, like, you know, we wouldn't be here without you. You guys are 3 of the main reasons why we're in this position, and you're going to be 3 of the main reasons why we win it. So that always feels good to me when someone comes up after the game, and because, you know, you feel, you know, worthless in those moments personally. So, you know, it always helps me when a teammate comes up and picks me up after a situation like that where I was involved. So that's always the first thing on my mind, is try to find a situation to pick them up.
Go to the third row here, and then Jesse.
Joe, you just kind of alluded to it, but you've obviously been through a lot this year. What was your reaction when Torrey told you that he would be moving you into this higher leverage role for this series?
I don't think he didn't really specifically say that, but I think that, you know, I don't need to be told what role I need to be in. I just want the ball whenever they want to give it to me. You know, whether it's, you know, opening a game or coming in the 5th for 1 out, or pitching in the 7th with a lead. I try to approach it the same way, and just go out there and get the guys out that they need me to get out, and just contribute. So, yeah, I mean, from where I was probably 3 months ago to where I am now, if you would have asked me 3 months ago, I was surprised that I was actually still with this organization, to be honest. So I think that speaks volumes to, you know, at times this year, this organization's believed in me more than I've believed in myself. And I'm very, very grateful and fortunate for that.
And for Ryne, quickly, you mentioned earlier that you didn't necessarily feel a certain level of trust when you were with the Rays. Why did you feel that way?
I think usage, you know, the ways that they would use me, and the ways that they would try to make sure that I was in certain situations that they felt like I could perform in. You know, I was a guy that was kind of bouncing up and down between AAA. I seemed to be the first guy that, you know, whenever they needed length, that I was the first bullpen guy that would get optioned this year. So those are some of the reasons. You know, it was evident by usage that they didn't trust me to get left-handed hitters out, when I think my stats show that I can get left-handed hitters out, and I think my batting average against throughout my career is even better against lefties. I do believe I'm better against righties, but I think when I came over here, and, you know, there's still those situations where they're going to try to get me more righties, but at the same time, like, I've faced almost as many left-handers as I had righties here, and that was told to me pretty early on, that, you know, in certain situations, it doesn't matter whether the guy's a lefty or a righty. Like, we believe in you. So I don't really think there was a distrust in the past, but it's just not the same level of trust that I've felt here.
Do two more, Jesse in the back.
For Joe, when you were 23, you were just starting your minor league career. Have you ever just stopped and probably several times been amazed by Perdomo and Thomas and Carroll and now Moreno? Are there moments where you just can't believe it, their ages?
Yeah, all the time, pretty much every day. Yeah, I mean, I was fortunate enough to be around Alec and Corbin at the alternate site in 2020 when they were 18 years old. And the level of talent that they showed at that age was already unbelievable. And maturity. And, you know, I remember thinking, like, Corbin specifically was just on a different level of, you know, player that I've seen at that age. And, you know, the success that they're having is no surprise. I think, you know, those are easy guys to evaluate and not be surprised on what they're doing.
Is there a example or two that stands out when it comes to Moreno in particular, because he's new to the organization, and Gallen said he's 23 going on 33?
Yeah, I mean, the one that pops in my head is the homer against the Dodgers. Just to have that, you know, he hits the home run foul, and then next pitch to be able to turn on one and hit another homer is, you know, that's something that only the best players in the world can do. That takes an unbelievable amount of talent and slow heartbeat to not let that moment, you know, to be able to execute, you know, in that moment. That's probably the coolest thing I've ever seen on a field, to be honest. So, yeah, I mean, all three of those guys, their level of maturity stands out as well as their talent. But being around them in the clubhouse, it's like, you know, for them to be this age and handling this stage is pretty remarkable.
Finish up quickly here in the middle.
Yeah, Joe, this is your fourth year with the club. Is there something that is different about this year's Diamondbacks compared to the past that have allowed you guys to have the success that you've had?
Yeah, I think for the most part, like just thinking back to 21 when, you know, we lost all those games, we had a lot of injuries to big players. And it kind of just seemed like a revolving door at times of just like, you know, you'd walk in the clubhouse and you wouldn't know who would, you know, there was a new guy in there almost every day, it felt like. I feel like this year there's been a little more stability in the clubhouse with the group of guys. And, you know, we've had, you know, these young guys really step up, especially like, you know, Tommy Henry and Fott and, you know, obviously Gabby and Corbin, Alec. I think those guys having success has brought a lot of stability to the team. You know, not constantly sending guys up and down, and you know, they've really filled in some roles that I think maybe coming into the year with young players you kind of have questions about, and it's really brought some stability to our team. And I think that you know, seeing it how it's gone this year, I'm not surprised that we're in this position.
Joe, Ryan, thank you guys so much for your time. Best of luck tonight.
Got it.